So the founders, when they were looking at the market, and they've been industry veterans, and they were talking to a lot of people around in the market, they realized disaster recovery was becoming more and more critical for organizations. And as they moved forward and understood the complete landscape of the DR environments, they realized that DR management is another very important piece. Today, if you look at it, most of the customers have built DR infrastructure and have put DR environments into place, but they don't have a visibility of their DR environments in terms of when a disaster happens, how long will it take for them to come up with the DR site, what is the amount of data they will use, and also at the same time, will the site come up or not? So if you're looking at the way they looked at it, and they realized that this is a very important piece from the overall offering, which is missing in any DR setup which is being set up by most of the customers today. So that was the rationale behind coming out with the DR management software, which would encompass all these aspects of monitoring, management, and doing a drill with one. So besides India, we have expanded to the APAC region, and we have opened offices in the Middle East region. So we have offices in India, Middle East, and APAC now. APAC, we don't have an office right now, but we are catering to the APAC market from India with our partnerships with a lot of local vendors out there. For the North America's market, the plan is to reach there by this year end, which is by December. We are looking at setting up some operations over there, and also looking at partnering with some big vendors to give our offering to that market. As I said, we've not really gone to the US and the European markets now, but I would still see APAC as a more mature market compared to where India is, like places like Singapore or Hong Kong, which are a little bit more mature. And the difference that we really see is in terms of the environments that they've built in, and a lot of DR readiness is already there. Right? At the same time, adoption of something like a DRM software is not very much in that area, but in India, we've seen a much bigger adoption of this kind of a software. Okay. So I would say in certain markets that we've addressed in APAC, India has taken a lead and is way ahead of some of these mature markets that we are talking about. So one of the reasons could be because we've seen a lot of disasters, and we are always ready for disasters, right? So be it natural disaster, man-made disasters, terrorism, so there are a lot of aspects to it. And I think we want to be more prepared in what we are really delivering or what we are really building for our organizations. And also IT being in forefront, and DRM being in forefront, and India being in forefront of any IT adoption, people are much more aware of the challenges they're facing, and delivering these kind of solutions or building these kind of solutions, we've taken the lead in that area, is what I. So I've been with Sanovi for the last 1.5 years, and I joined them last February. And it's been an exciting journey since last 1.5 years. I came in from Brocade, I was heading country in Brocade over there. And DRM space it's a very niche area. It's not that every customer or every partner is aware of this. So last 1.5 years has been more of building this organization, building an ecosystem for us with the partners and with the customers to ensure that what we have to talk about, what we are saying, is well taken and well addressed to a larger audience. Today if you look at it, banking is a big adopter of DRM software. We have a maximum customer base from the banking segment. So engaging with them, talking to them, and understanding a lot of stuff which are very relevant in any DR environment or any customer outside the banking environment has also been a very exciting learning for me. Talking to a lot of media people, telling them about the challenges, because again, we realized that DR as a technology or as a space is well understood, but DRM is in a lot of places being seen as a nice to have kind of a solution or nice to have kind of a product, which is not very true, because if you look at it, this forms the most important cog in the overall wheel. You build the best DR environment, But if it doesn't work, when the disaster happens, what do? You've invested $10 million in your primary center. You've invested, if not more, at least $500,000 in your DR site. When the disaster happens and this thing doesn't come up, it's of no use, the investment that you've made. Right? So this is what this software really addresses, this challenge. And that's been really exciting for me to go and tell customers that why they require this, what is the need for it, and helping them to build a more robust DR environment, rather than just putting something there and saying, okay, we are ready, but when the real disaster happens, you realize there is nothing in there. Also, at the same time, building a big, strong partner ecosystem has been a very exciting route for me. So when I came on board, we did have partnerships, but they were really not a well-oiled machine kind of stuff. Today, we have partnerships with HP, HCL, Wipro. We have our reseller community in place through our distributor iValue. We've been addressing that reseller space. And we've got a much more strategy around the way we are delivering our solutions through a partner. We were doing a lot of activities initially alone, that is directly with the customers. Today, a lot of partners all these partners are taking us to all the customers. So it was all about building a strong ecosystem of partners who would take us to more self customers. Again, in the last 1.5 years, we've expanded the team from 4-man team to 17+ team in sales and pre-sales. So that's a huge expansion that we've done across in India and in the Middle East and the APAC. We've got our offices, as I mentioned, in the Middle East also, where we have our sales and a pre-sales person. We've recently signed up with GBM, which is the IBM representation in the Middle East. Right, so that also has been signed up recently, and they are also taking us to bigger regions in the Middle East region now. And in APAC, we are driving a lot of business with HP, so that's the other strong initiative we had, which has really taken us to the next level. So traditionally, we've been approaching our customers directly. So the sales team that I have, it's a mix of direct sales guys and the channel team, right, along with the pre-sales team. So the idea of the direct sales team and the pre-sales team is to go and evangelize with the customers. So they would act as evangelists. They would make sure the technology is understood well with the customers. But everything else that we are trying to do today is through a partner ecosystem that we have today, right? And similar model is what we are following up in the Middle East and the APAC region. What we realized is, being in a very niche area, very niche space, we can't really depend on partners to really go and sell aggressively in different geography, any geography for that matter. So that's the reason that we have a direct sales team who would go and interact much more with the customers and work with them to build solutions. And then also at the same time, work with the partners to ensure that the complete solution is delivered as per the requirements of the customer. So for the SME sector, we do have some modules of the software which can address. We've recently announced DR as a service along with one of our partners, NetMagic. And this is where we see a big pull for our kind of a solution, where NetMagic is going to host the DR sites for the customers and offer DR as a service to them. Because we realized that SME customers really don't want to invest too heavily on a DR environment, right? So DR as a service is a fantastic model that we are counting on to take our services to our customers. We are also in discussions with the other partners to see how we can leverage their DR services that they are offering to customers to take our software and offer these services. It's not at all very expensive. But why I said we are offering the other services, because it's just not the software which is forming the overall part of the solution. There's a huge amount of hardware investment when anybody is building a DR site, right? Certain customers want to have a 100% replica of a primary site in a DR site. Certain customers are looking at 50% replica. So if they've invested in X amount, there would be some amount of investments, not only on my software perspective, but from the hardware perspective that is required. And this is what is being hosted by people like NetMagic or Sifi or the other guys in their environment, and offering that as a service on a per use or a per license basis. So it's just not the cost of the software, but the other things involved in offering this kind of a service. That's the reason we've looked at SMEs to go with that. We do have certain SME customers who are using the software, so but they never found this to be very expensive. We consciously decided because banking has all the regulations and compliances requirements. So banking is obviously a big focus for us. We are working towards that, and we have a lot of customers in that area. Government is the other vertical that we are really concentrating on. And again, there is a lot of regulations, a lot of stuff happening. Yesterday, you had the Mantralaya fire in Bombay, right? So that's an unfortunate incident. But at the same time, we also need to realize the data that is got burnt possibly could have been saved if that is digitized. I'm hoping that things were digitized there, and if they were digitized and they were replicated, you know, that's where we could have played a very important role for the Mantralaya of our customers, right? So government is obviously a big focus for us because they are servicing us, all of us as citizens of the country. Our data is important, and they need to really take care of that. The other vertical that we are really focusing on is manufacturing. We've got a lot of customers around in that space, you know, and so it's basically banking, government, and manufacturing. These are three areas. Government, I would also include the PSUs, public sector undertakings like NTPCs and all of the world. They're big customers to us.